I know. Totally aware I have 2 pairs of glasses on. Totally don't care. So obviously we're going to go on a budget response. We will get there, but before we get there, let's have some good news. The good news is I went to Specsavers with my slightly not sure whether my contact lenses were working or not. Specsavers have nailed it yet again. So I finished my free trial. I had my free checkup. And instead of saying to me, oh, yeah, we need to order you some more expensive contact lenses, or we need to order you another pair of expensive glasses, although to be fair, these weren't expensive, blah, blah, blah. What they actually said was, it's all really good. Just go and get yourself a pair of off the shelf, easy readers. You need a prescription of one, and it will help sharpen up your reading when you're reading with your contact lenses. I mean, seriously, when does that ever happen? When do we ever go somewhere and they save us money? They've saved me money. So I'm going to go and get. They said, oh, you can get them in anywhere. You can get them in chemists, supermarkets, petrol stations. I was like, goodness me, who knew? So that's the good news. Please like, subscribe and share. We're nearly at 51,000. That's also good news. Not such good news was the budget. Now, it's nothing that we weren't expecting. So we can work on that. I'll take those off. We can work on the fact that it's nothing that we weren't expecting. We can work on the fact that a lot of this stuff won't be implemented because they'll never get it through. There won't be the time to get it through. There isn't the finance to get it through. But there will be some things that will immediately come in which are going to cost money. Notably, the tax rises. They're not tax rises, though. We're not calling them that because that would be breaking the manifesto pledges. So we're not, I mean, God knows what we are calling them, but we're not calling them tax rises despite the fact that they're raising taxes. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? So the day started off not brilliantly with the OBR leaking the budget, which Rachel Reeves found out. Now, here's 2 things. She found out while she was on a phone in the Houses of Parliament. Do we think we should have phones in the Houses of Parliament? I don't know. Where do you stand on that? I sort of feel like that should be a place where there shouldn't be phones. And I watched as Rachel Reeves was delivering the budget, and there was someone behind doing this. And I'm like, really? I sort of feel as though if we're discussing, debating and mulling over important things that are going on in the country that would affect you, me and everybody, maybe we should focus on that and not be on our phones. I mean, I'm sure they're not playing snakes and solitaires and Minecraft and all of that, but you never know, do you? So I'd rather not have phones if I'm honest. But anyway, Rachel Reeves found out while she was on a phone just before she delivered her speech and her budget that it had in fact been leaked. Now, I would like to say that the Deputy Speaker of the House gets my award today for being the probably shining light of a really disastrous budget. She was great. She managed proceedings well. She gave a very good speech about how leaking stuff is just not okay and we all deserve more respect than that. She kept everybody in order. She was affable. She was funny. She kept things a bit light, and I felt in comparison to Sir Lindsay Hoyle she was significantly fairer, so we'd like to see more of her, please. She was good. So Rachel Reeves delivered what we all knew she was going to deliver because it's all been leaked, so it was nothing new, and I think perhaps that's why there was a calmness in my pre-budget speech this morning, because it's like, well, you know, we all know, we've all been told, we've all had time for this to sink in, we've processed it, we've desensitised ourselves to it. It's yet another leak, even though it's not a leak and it was the naughty journalist's fault. It wasn't anyone at Number 10's fault, obviously, never is. So we knew what was coming. We knew she was going to blame the Tories, and she did. I mean, it was in sort of like the opening few sentences. This is not about the past 14 months, it's about the past 14 years. I mean, of course it is. You know, it ever was thus. And it's just boring. I mean, it gets a sort of round of, oh, really? You know, when you're at the end of the pantomime and you're all really bored of going, hiya, Buttons! Every time Buttons comes on the stage, it's like that. So we've had that, and we've had, you know, all of the catchphrases. They're all in there. It's a soup of catchphrases. Then we have who we're not going to tax, and we knew what that was going to be. And then we have who we are going to tax, and that's all of the rest of us. And we're like, we knew that was going to be that. We have a lot of chat about what's fair, what's not fair, and what I won't do, and I'm determined to, and it was their fault, and it's not my fault, and this will do this, and that will do that, and if I don't do this, then this can't happen, and we're amazing. Lots of that. Keir Starmer looked behind her, bored. Honestly, he was doing the gaze into... It wasn't that kind of, oh, have I got chicken Kievs in the freezer? I've probably got 2 chicken Kievs and 4 fish fingers, and if I find some peas... It wasn't that one. And it wasn't, Right, well, if I do the shop on my way home, I could probably get that in. And then by the time I get home, if somebody else unpacks it, I could do the... It wasn't that gaze either. Nor was it the, oh my God, the electricity bill goes out today. Do I have enough money in that bank account? Should I ring them and say that I can't? Should I pause my direct debit? I don't want to get charged for it. No, it wasn't that gaze either. It was the, oh, will I be sat here tomorrow? Who do I throw under the bus first? Her or me? It was that gaze. He looked really disengaged. He just looked bored, frankly, and perhaps slightly on edge and on the edge. I mean, just my opinion. Literally from watching it, like you may have been watching it, my opinion was he looked bored, slightly concerned, and after Kemi Badenoch had eviscerated the entire Labour government, and particularly Rachel Reeves, he looked scared. Rachel Reeves looked, for the first time, like she'd just heard what she's done to this country. It was either, I can't believe you've just been so mean and said that in those hurty words, despite the fact that she'd said some quite hurty words and played to the crowd and tried to get the cheap gags in hers. She'd done exactly the same. So it was either, I can't believe you said that and said those hurty words to me, even though I've just done it to everyone else. Or it was the face of somebody who has, for the very first time, heard what the British people are thinking. And Kemi Badenoch did not hold back. And there were times when I thought, do you need to? You've held yourself together with decorum for the past few months. And we've seen you grow in confidence, and we've seen you grow in the sophistication of your responses. Do you really need to throw in the sort of Quality Streets gag? But then I thought afterwards, and watching it back a couple of times, I was like, yeah, no, I get it, actually. I get it, because you're at the end of your tether. You are completely frustrated, and you do have plans, and you do have an alternative, unlike the opposition when it was the Labour Party opposing the Conservatives, and the Labour Party just opposed. They didn't sort of say, we oppose and we do this. They just opposed. Kemi Badenoch has got in some areas, credible opposition, and I think these were the words of a woman who was just so frustrated, but also deeply saddened for us. She came across as somebody who felt like we had been let down, and we have. Now, we haven't heard anything yet from Nigel Farage, so we don't know what his response is going to be, and we haven't heard anything from Zach Walensky. I suspect his response will be something personal, because, of course, Rachel Reeves made some fairly disparaging remarks about him being a hypnotherapist. So we'll see what happens in that. But the biggest headline and the chat is the two-child cap has gone. And the Conservative Party robustly defended why it was there in the first place, and the Labour Party robustly defended why it will never be there again on their tenure. And what was very interesting about this was the wording that Rachel Reeves used. Now, we know what I think about the two-child cap. I don't think we can afford to not have it. For my opinion on it is actually nothing to do with whether it's a deserving policy and whether it works. We just don't have the money to not have it. It's as simple as that. Whether I was the biggest supporter of the two-child cap or not is immaterial. And I've never really given my views on that. But what I have said is we are not in a position to be making these investments in welfare when we don't have the bank balance to back it up. Simple as, which is a sorry state to be in. It's a very sorry state to be in. But what Rachel Reeves was saying was, in relation to the two-child cap, every child has equal worth. I don't intend to preside over, and then I think she said a government, but I'm not sure, that punishes children for the circumstances of their birth. She says that we are punishing the children with the two-child cap. Don't disagree. And she said that the Conservatives said the two-child cap would punish parents, but they're punishing the kids. Cynical gimmicks over real savings. And I'm listening to this and relating it to VAT on education. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Everything that you've said you wouldn't do in terms of the two-child cap, punishing children for their parents' choices, you are doing in VAT on education. And this is the headline that's come out of this budget. You know, lifting children out of poverty is the headline that's come out of the budget. Yet what we are doing, the very same party by its very same hand, is punishing children in the education system, in both the state system and the independent system. It's extraordinary how we can't join the dots and we can't correlate. And we talk about, working parents, and yet we're punishing working parents with the taxes that we are imposing upon them, and the lack of ability to save, the lack of ability to get on the mortgage ladder, the lack of ability to do anything other than be stagnant where you are, hope that you can retain your job, and if you can't retain your job, then we may be able to support you with benefits. We're not seeing the link between punishing families right now with the economic pressure and the financial pressure that we're putting on them, and children being in poverty. And a line that Kemi Badenoch said, which I really resonated with me when we're talking about the welfare system and we're talking about people struggling. And she said, taxpayers are struggling too. And I think that's really, really key, because we talk about supporting people that need welfare, and as we should support those that need it. We really should. But we're ignoring the fact that taxpayers who are doing everything by the book and paying everything that they possibly can also need supporting. Yet we're punishing them. It's that old hashtag, make it make sense, and it doesn't. So the observations from the budget are at the end of it, by the end of, you two, stop it. That's a dachshund and a Labrador being silly. By the end of said budget, Rachel Reeves didn't look as buoyant as she did when she went in. I did notice her voice change a few times in the budget, and it felt like she was trying to emulate Margaret Thatcher, very deep and very full of gravitas and power. But by the end of it, she looked broken, honestly speaking. I think she's doing a press conference at some point. We'll see whether she's sort of rallied the troops a bit. But it's not looking good. The media is not welcoming this budget, and there's all the talk as of the 2-child cap. Can we afford it? And we've broken the manifesto pledges, but we've tried to rewrite it and repackage it as though we haven't, when we blatantly have. So there will be more coming out over the next few days, I have no doubt. We woke up this morning absolutely dreading the budget, and I don't think that we're going to go back to bed tonight feeling any better about it, but we have got to remember that so much of this cannot be implemented, won't be implemented, there won't be time. And it's like I said this morning, we needed to get to this bit, I think, so that we could move on without those at the helm that are already there. I think this is very much the beginning of the end. I do not think there will be a second term for the Labour Party. And I do not think that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves have much longer in their current positions. So perhaps it was a good thing. Perhaps we needed to go through this to get to the other side. The devil in the detail is be careful what you wish for, isn't it? Who we're going to get instead. And then in particular, when it comes to election time, have we got a credible opposition? Have we got a credible party that can get us out of this mess and not spend their time in tenure going, it was all Labour's fault? Because if I hear that again, I really will scream. But in terms of Kemi Badenoch's performance today, it was good. It really was good. And, there's a lot of people saying, I don't like the woman and I really don't like the Conservatives, but thank God she held them to account. Thank God she spoke truth. And that's what she did do. She spoke truth today, because she spoke of observation. She spoke of what was actually happening. And she did, of course, talk about Conservative policies and what she would do. And she had alternatives. She didn't just oppose for the sake of opposing. She said, this is what we would do instead. But she sounded to me as though she actually really did understand what you, I, and everybody is going through. And like I've said before, this isn't a competition in who's got the least amount of money. This isn't the competition in who's this hit the hardest. This is an observation of it's hit us all in one way, shape or form. And on whatever level of the spectrum you're on that, however badly it's affected you, whether it's absolutely horrifically or just marginally, it has still affected us, and it's affected us in the negative. And our desire for growth has never been stronger, I don't think, as a nation. I think we're desperate to get out of this hole. We are ready for the good times. How do we get to the good times? How do we get there? We've got people that want to set up businesses, that want to progress and do well in their chosen career. We've got kids that want to leave school and go to college, be an apprentice, go to university, get a job. All the desire is there, and it's there in spades, but we're just not having a platform to be able to present that on. So let's see what happens. Let's see where these discussions take us. Let's see where the media takes us. It will be interesting. And of course, now the BBC has been so fundamentally accused of being biased, where are they going to be? I mean, they're going to trip over every word they say, aren't they? But I don't think today was the day that Rachel Reeves thought it was going to be. If she thought today was the day where she was going to win the British public over, somebody did not manage her expectations. I think opinion ratings are going to be lower than they have ever been before, if that's even possible. That noise you can hear is a sausage dog and a Labrador. Let me show you what the sausage dog is doing. She's got her leg caught in her jumper. She's got a paw caught and she's lying on her back whilst the Labrador cleans her. You are like a princess. Look, where's your leg? You don't want to show it. You don't want to show it? You do want to show it. Look. There. Absolute monster. She went out, oh, you stink. She went out in the frost today. Dachshunds don't like the cold. It was hilarious. At one point, I thought she was actually going to get on Badger's back and have a piggyback. I've never seen anything so funny. I don't know that you liked your morning constitutional today, did you? No, it was a bit cold. Right, on that note, dogs to feed, dinner to cook, dishwashers to... In fact, no, I don't have to unload the dishwasher because I've not been loading it. So no, I don't. I can knock that off my list. We'll see what goes on in the next few days. In the meantime, have a nice evening. Sausage says, oh,